also a feature tonight, this feature film. And so I just want to say a little thing. So I first met this director in 2007 here in Austin, Texas, on a grassy hill, an outdoor screening of, I can't remember the name of the movies, but there were some dirty, nasty movies shown outside, and I think we pulled a fast one in the city of Austin because there were boobies outside. And it was during the Grindhouse trailer competition, and they I think we did that show. Showed the trailers, and I was floored by Hobo with Shotgun, the trailer. And I saw this guy, he was there, and he was waving, and I was like, holy shit, I gotta meet that person. And I spent maybe like a minute with him, and within that minute I said, I think I might have just fallen in love. I think I might have a friend crush, and I think I want to know this guy, and I want somebody to give him a ton of money. I want to make a bunch of films, because if he was able to do that with absolutely nothing, what if somebody gave him $10 or more even? I don't know what the budget of this movie was. And then Hobo with Shotgun came out and exceeded my expectations. I fell in love with it. And then he made me wait for a goddamn fucking 20 years to make another movie. But it's here, tonight, one of the best human beings on the planet, Mr. Jason fucking Eisener! I'm not gonna give you a mic because you just let me down, because surely he's gonna do a cartwheel. He's gonna do a cartwheel, right? He's gonna come up here to do a cartwheel because I expect him to do a cartwheel. Yeah, motherfucker! Not every director does that for you. That's for you. That cartwheel for you. All of you. Whew. I'm sorry.
Oh man, it feels so good to be back here. Austin's like a second home for me. Like you were saying, that Hobo with the Shotgun trailer was like the first thing I ever played out of my hometown, and something that not just like my friends and family has seen. And so Austin really embraced me, and I'm so nervous right now to play this new movie because it's been so long, but everyone keeps telling me you're with family. You're with family here. So I gotta give a big shout out to the hometown, my Nova Scotia, my team that helped me make this movie. They're battling a crazy hurricane tonight. So I want to give them a lot of love. And what else can I say? This movie there's a lot of me in it. It's a very personal story. There's a lot of things that you see on here that are things that me and my friends did with my brother and sister, and terrorizing my sister growing up. And then also all my childhood fears of being abducted by aliens. And so I was so scared of being abducted by aliens when I was a kid. I kept a baseball bat under my bed and studied and read everything I could about them. And I just thought, one day, if they ever come for me, they're gonna get it. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Please have fun with it. We're gonna do a Q&A after. I have two of the actors here, Dominic Mariche and Jonni Shreve. We're all gonna do a Q&A after the movie, and we'll answer any questions you have. Awesome. Thank you so much. Enjoy the film. Have fun. See you after the movie.
I'd also like to apologize to the other theaters, because I was watching a movie in one of the other theaters, and I was like, boy, that audio is really loud. I hope nobody screams into the microphone. And I just realized that now. So on behalf of me, I'm sorry. I'll try to keep my voice down during the Q&A. All right, let's go. The unstoppable force that is Jason Eisener! Come on up. I think you got some friends. Tell us who you got here.
All right, so I got the star of the movie who plays Gary, Dominic Mariche. Come on over, bud. We kept him up past his bedtime. Actually, it's past my bedtime.
For the record, I do not have a bedtime. I'm a big boy.
We got Jonni Shreve, who plays the beast alien when Dallas turns into that monster. Johnny. And then we got two of the producers, Brad Miska and Josh Goldbloom. Give it up. Thanks for sticking around.
Amazing work. It was fucking awesome. So thank you for bringing it here. I was supposed to write some questions, and I have a lot of questions, but this is what I actually wrote down on my paper. It said, if you even touch All right, tiny shrimp dicks, you will go to jail. So I'm gonna try to make a T-shirt tomorrow. See if I can get that going. No, I'm second guessing that. I'm not. So I have a ton of questions. I'm not gonna manipulate all the time with my questions, but I do want you to go into some detail about your childhood. Did you have a wrestling ring? Tell us about the inspiration for Samantha, and just how much of that is your actual childhood?
Yeah, so that's, those kids making the movies with their friends in their backyard is definitely like inspired by my childhood. And my sister is actually like a year younger than me, but we grew up like playing together, and like I can remember like us making movies, and then by the time we got like to high school, like just feeling the but like I was like, when I was a kid, I used to love like playing with my wrestling action figures. And I would have like Jake the Snake Roberts like go up against Shredder from like the Ninja Turtles, and I would just figure out ways to kind of like mash those universes together to make it like kind of my own thing. And that's what the kids are doing in this thing, in the movie, is they're just taking like all these inspirations that they have and kind of putting it all together into their own thing. So, yeah.
Perfect. That's it. I mean, you could probably tell me another half hour.
I easily could. Yeah.
So I have to say you are one of my. Well, I already said you were one of my favorite human beings, but you're also one of my favorite human beings that directs children, like young people, right? I'm sorry I fucking called you child. I didn't mean that. So yeah.
I'll have you know, I'm 14.
That was an apology, though. I'm sorry. It's a young man, directing young. I like you directing young men.
I'm always like with everything I do, like trying to get back to like my childhood, and I'm always kind of running from adulthood, and so for me, like working with kids or young men like yourself.
You look what he just did.
It's like I love it. Like it's just there's just such an energy like on set, and like we had such a fun time like making the movie, and like I tried to create like a fun like safe environment for everyone to like bring their ideas, and so I wanted all the cast to feel like that they could bring themselves like to it, and I feel like the characters in the movie are in some ways like I don't know, like I see like like you guys like in the movie, like who you are is like in the character a bit. So I love that.
I'd love to get your perspective just on what it was like working with this guy, and how you brought that form, and how much of that is you up on screen.
Honestly, I feel like Gary doesn't stray too far away from my own personality, and working on set with the Jason Eisener, like whenever I worked on a different set, it felt like I was being directed to film a movie, right? But with Jason Eisener, it felt like more of a creation than a job. Like we always made sure to have some fun, and before we even got on set, you brought us to an arcade just so we could bond and have good chemistry for the movie. And not every director will go out of their way to do that, and I really appreciate that.
I want to ask you about you were a ferocious, fierce figure. I see what Jason's bringing with the alien design, but I want to tell how did you get into the role? Do you have what's your experience in being a badass motherfucker on screen? So just tell us about that dynamic with Jason.
So I got like a self tape for I got a self tape for his movie. I didn't really think about it. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then like he needs you to act like a monster creeping around. So my self tape was me and I think it was like boxers. And I was in my backyard, kind of like just creeping like this, and then like touching the stuff, and whatever. And Jay liked it, and we got a little phone call together, a video call, and then I got on set, and then found out that partly through filming that he worked with my uncle. My uncle is Abdul the Butcher. So I remember walking up to him, like we were talking, and I walked up to him with my full costume on. And, like, yeah, he worked with my uncle. He's like, who's your uncle? I'm like, Abdul the Butcher. He's like, oh, fuck, no way. And we just, it's like immediately bonded and stuff. And then he finally got to see my face at the end of the production bills.
Pretty much, yeah. Abdul the Butcher is one of the main subjects of our very first episode of the show we do called Dark Side of the Ring. And so I didn't know that when I met Johnny. We hit it off. I casted you before we casted Dallas, and I remember you telling me your dream was to play like a Jason Voorhees or like a monster on screen, and so I was looking at the time for like bodybuilders and wrestlers to like play that role, and when he sent that audition tape and he's like in his like underwear like running around his house, I was like, man, I gotta work with this guy.
Tell me that tape will somehow surface at some point.
Let's get a Blu-ray. We got so many things for an extra features. There was like a whole documentary being filmed while we were making the movie, so that would be amazing to get out there.
It was great. It was fun, man. He's awesome.
Yeah. This I know. So I mean, you were telling the stories of that you telling that you were a storyteller when you were a very young boy. When you were a young man. So I'd like to talk to the producers about, like, first of all, I want to applaud you guys. And if there's any other producers in the room, please give more budgets to the young men who are playing with toys.
Yes,
and
please.
Building stories, because that's what they're built to do. So tell us about getting this project together, how long you've been working on it, and what were some of the challenges and hurdles of getting this off the ground?
Well, when I was a young man. No, actually, every single time we work on a VHS movie, we just go straight to Jason. And he's been busy with Dark Side of the Ring, clap for that again, which I love. And he said that the last time we talked to him, he said he was more interested in exploring the alien themes from his VHS 2 segment. And we were like, you want to do that as a feature? And he was like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking to do. And we were like, all right, we'll make it happen. And then we just made it happen like really fast too. Which was crazy,
it was. Right? I think Brad and I were always like, probably everybody in here, like, why the fuck has Jason not made a movie in 10 years? And
constantly, yeah.
He finally came back to us and was like, hey, like, we'll do a VHS segment. And we were like, oh shit, like, we're done. Yeah. So we talked about a couple concepts, and Jason drafted us a treatment, and we were like, we're gonna get this motherfucker made.
Yeah, it was like, honestly, like the best process I've ever had, like making anything with like you guys and Mark Ward from RLJE. I've been doing 10 years of trying to get like movies like off the ground and pitching to studios and doing the whole song and dance where you spend months on pitches and then just nothing like comes
too much talk, no fucking do.
Yeah, and so it was literally like I didn't even have to like make a pitch deck or anything. It was like these guys just like all believed in me, and they're like, we just want to see you like make another movie, and that was, I couldn't believe it. I was like, when is this gonna like when is the trick gonna show up? And it never did. Like we got to make the movie we wanted to make.
So I'm gonna go open it up to the audience, and we do have other theaters, right? So it's my job to repeat the question. And so if I forget to repeat the question, then please somebody just call me a bad word. Okay, middle of the theater over there.
Yeah, so with an ending like that, kind of feels like a sequel.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
And if so, would you want to do it like movie form, a TV series, comics? I don't know.
Okay, so the question was, when the sequel happens, in what form will it take place? Will it be a episodic series on television, or will it be a cinematic experience, or what's in your mind?
Our hope is that, if people like this, like, we just all want to get back to Nova Scotia and just shoot the sequel. Like, we've got, like, it all plotted out. This is a much bigger universe than, like, than it shows on the screen. Like, I'm just leaving little breadcrumbs there, but I definitely want to make a sequel to this and continue the adventure. As you can see, there's more to what happened to Jack. So, I don't want to give any spoilers if there is ever a sequel, but, it's possible Jack's back.
Oh, God damn it.
So, yeah, hopefully.
Get right here in the first riser.
Yeah, this is more of a comment than a question.
Just like you can get that out of your goddamn system.
In all seriousness, most of the time when a movie's like this made, something that has throwback elements to it, one of the first things that people do is mimic a color palette and a lighting palette for the film, but this is actually a really unique style and a really unique color palette. So I was wondering if you could talk about why you chose the look of this film the way you did.
Look at that. That actually ended in a question mark. It was a little rambly. I'm gonna, for the sake of the other theater, some movies, if they have sort of quote unquote retro stylings to them, sometimes adopt a retro color palette. That's not maybe what you've done, but how did you get the look and feel? How did you develop it? Where did that come from?
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I made like Hobo with a Shotgun, like my first feature, I was wearing a lot of like my cinematic like influences like on my sleeve. But with this movie, it was more about being inspired by like the childhood action figures that I had, and like all the toy commercials and the art on the actual packaging of action figures, especially like Masters of the Universe and She-Ra. Like those were, I was just like while making this, and just I've always been like obsessed with those properties, and like wanted to try and do something where I could kind of create my own universe like that. So I was very inspired by like the artwork of toy like box art, and then also like it's a movie from Nova Scotia, and I'm a big fan of Nova Scotia folk art, which is very colorful, and I wanted this to kind of feel like this marine folk art like from home. This is like my little piece of folk art from Nova Scotia. So yeah.
I take it all back, Cargill. This is actually a good question. I appreciate you. All right, towards the back of the auditorium.
So Jason, from Number to Heaven to Last Dive to VHS2 to this, you seem to love horror on the water. Is that just the Nova Scotian in you, or is there a story behind that?
Yeah.
No. You got to formulate your thoughts, get them clear and crystal. I'm going to repeat that question. In your body of work, there is water comes into play. Is that just you being a Nova Scotian, as they you probably
kind of, yeah. Well,
tell us about that.
Yeah, like I grew up on the water, and like the first dead bodies I've ever seen were pulled out of the water in my backyard. So horror is always kind of, I don't know, been in my mind. Like even I just spend days staring at the ocean and like being scared of what could be in there. But so back home in Nova Scotia, there's this awesome folklore legend. It's actually history, but in 1967, a UFO crashed in the ocean, in the harbor on the southern point of Nova Scotia, and a bunch of fishermen saw it happen. It's like been fully reported, and they thought it was an airplane that went down, and so they raced out there with their fishing boats, and when they got there was no wreckage, there were no people, but they saw like this glow coming from the depths. And when I was a kid, I had a family member who was in the Navy back home, and he heard all these stories like about what had happened, what people had seen. He told me that like divers had dove down onto the ship and they saw like alien beings inside of it, and they got freaked out, and they got out of there, and then another ship actually came up underwater and connected with the ship, and then they stayed connected for a couple days, and then they took off like together. But when I was a kid, like I remember, it was around that same time I'm getting that information that I saw a trailer for this movie called Fire in the Sky, like on TV. And that trailer alone like ruined my life for years. Because it said based on a true story. And I thought, oh man, I'm hearing like there's aliens crash landing in the ocean, basically in our backyard. There's aliens abducting people, and I got so scared. I thought I just gotta like go to the library, get every book I can on alien abductions and UFOs, so that I can be best prepared for when they like come for me. And so yeah, I've just that has stayed with me like so much, that story, that I don't know. I've been wanting to bring that to the screen, and that's what the opening kind of pays homage to that folk legend.
You've always been ready. You ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready for him.
We got a question right down here.
Hi, Jason.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hey, Dean.
I have a question for you about the locations. The main house that was featured in that film, is there any interesting stories about
Yes, of course.
You're getting excited again. The main house, interesting stories? Question mark?
Yeah, so the main house in the movie is actually my parents' house. And
Were they super pissed when they painted on the walls?
actually, you know, like I shot the short film for VHS 2 there, and it was a nightmare shooting it. Like my mom was like not stoked on the experience. So I just figured that will never be in the cards again. It's one and done. But when it came time to do this feature, my parents actually came to me and they saw I was trying to find a location and they offered up their home to do it. And I couldn't believe it, and I ended up going for it. And like we just we painted all over the walls, and it was like everyone on crew was like so stressed out about how my mom was gonna react to the whole thing. But she was so awesome about it. I'm like I have such awesome parents. They're nothing like the parents in the movie. They're so supportive. So yeah, I gotta give them so much love. I don't know. I could say I'll never do it again, but you never know.
Would they have
Part
still
two.
loved you if you let the kids shit on the walls?
Yeah. Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
I'm trying to ask if I should. I'm trying to think if I should ask about what you just said, Brad, about kids shitting on the walls in the house. Sounds like maybe there's further destruction that wasn't quite into the final
That was
product.
in VHS 2.
That's right,
okay.
Yeah, that was the one thing we were like, maybe it's a little too far, and he was like, yeah, I guess. But maybe it wasn't, I don't know.
I don't know.
That would have been funny.
Hey, if we get the sequel, we'll get kids shitting on walls.
We promise. Mark?
We got another question right down here.
Jason, to the man to your right there.
Hi.
Dominic.
Hello.
How fun was that scene, the army scene, shooting the scene? Did any crazy thing happen on set? Like, you guys have fun? As fun as it looked?
Okay, so, you know that little tractor thing, what you didn't see is that thing had a massive backfire whenever we had to start. And the first time, I didn't know that. So I'm standing there, Jason goes, cut! Okay, re-roll. I'm like, okay. I almost fall back into the mud and completely ruin my entire outfit. I'm so glad I didn't. But yeah, I actually became some friends with some of the kids that were there as well. Like the poor kid that got tasered at the beginning. I got to know his name and talked a little bit. Yeah.
I gotta tell the best story.
Don't ask me for his name.
So, do you remember the bee story? So we were shooting that scene where the kids are. Yeah, we were shooting this scene with where you and the dinosaur sort of are fighting in the wrestling ring, and we're just about to like roll a shot, and Dominic is just like, I see lightning, and the AD looks at me and he's like, what's going on? And you were just like, guys, I'm seeing lightning. And I could just see people, like the expression on everyone's face being like, well, that's it, we broke them, it's done, we're packing up, we're going home. And you opened up your goggles that you had on, and a giant wasp came out of your goggles that was like flying around inside.
Very well, yeah. What he said, yeah.
It was great. We were shooting this movie in like November and October, and it was freezing. And because we had that like a little bit of the smoke, it like awakened like a wasp nest in that barn. And so that's like, we were all just so perplexed. Like, how could there be a wasp in like November? But
And apparently, I'm just unlucky enough to have it fall right in my visor.
you survived.
It really hurt. It's got my finger.
Oh,
Was I misunderstanding? Did you call that the P story?
bees.
The B story. Okay, it was a wasp. Okay, I thought there was another. I thought there was a story about P and maybe the code or something. I'm not sure. Okay, that was not a good question that I just asked. Do we have? I think we have time for one more question. Anybody got a killer diller capper of the evening? Oh, then the person sitting exactly right next to you. That's the one.
Ask this question before we get
Okay.
power. So,
I put a little extra pressure on it. I'm sorry. It doesn't need to be great.
Here we go. Was there any special significance to the sword in the film?
Ooh. What? Oh,
Why
yeah.
did it glow?
Yeah. Was there any special significance to the sword in the film? And are there, second part, he didn't ask this, I'm going to ask this. Are there any powers that weren't unlocked that might be there in future sequels?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole story behind the sword that is yet to reveal itself, and also why they turned Dallas into this like monster with blades for hands. It's something that if we do get to do a sequel, you'll see that the aliens have actually like a pit fighting sort of thing where they make creatures to like fight against each other. So, but yeah, I'm giving away too much. But yeah, there's much more to it, and the sword like comes from like a warrior that is from the same realm as some warriors that are in Hobo with a Shotgun. So it comes from a similar sort of. This movie does take place in the same universe as that movie, so.
The Eisner verse. Yeah. Yes, all right, I'm in. I'll buy all the tickets. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks
for having a beautiful brain.
Thank you, everyone.
Hard work for making this. Thank you all you guys for making it truly magical. We should be seeing this in theaters in early next year. Is that right here? There's a rumor on the block. It's a lean, mean. Also, other producers in the room. Lean, mean, fucking 75-minute machine. Let's see more of those, especially at midnight. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you out there at the fest.